Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com where music comes to life. And my guest today has been on the site a couple of times before. He is one of the most talented songwriters and performers I've ever had the opportunity to see, and I'm proud to call him a friend. He's
Thank
here
you, Jeff.
today because he just released his 15th record called The Great Yellow Light, and it's just an amazing piece of work. Here to talk about it, please welcome Willie Nile. Welcome, Willie.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the kind words. Much appreciated.
My pleasure. And one thing I loved when I listened to this record is you have a bunch of special guests, and we'll talk about that a little later on. But for the
Yeah,
most part, you use your live band on the record.
yeah.
And for my money, you have the best live band on the road today. So talk a bit about who's in your band and how that chemistry that you guys have on stage translated to the studio.
Well, thanks for saying that. They're a great band, and Johnny Paisano on bass and vocals, Jimmy Bones on guitar and vocals, John Weber on drums, and there is a real chemistry there. When we record, we're all in the studio. There's John, the drummer, is in the main studio because he's so loud. And Johnny and Jimmy were in the control room with the engineer and the co-producer, and I'm in this other room with a vocal mic, and I'm playing guitar, electric. The cable goes to another room, and on this, and we record every track all at once. And when we get a take, obviously there'll be some guitar overdubs, background overdubs, some percussion, maybe some keyboards. But basically, it's what we get when we say that's it. In this particular case, every single song on the record, the vocal, while I'm singing and playing, I didn't do any overdubs. There was no vocal day. That was just, we got lucky in every song it worked. So it really is a four piece, and the energy you can capture when you're all playing together is only something you can capture when you're all playing together. It's so much fun. We had a great time doing it, and they are a great band. You're right. They really are.
Now, the record, it's called The Great Yellow Light, and the title track, I think it's one of my favorite songs that you've ever written. But where does that title come from, and what does it mean to you?
It's one of my favorite recordings I've ever done. I mean, I love the song, and the recording just came out so special. It stands on its own. The whole record does, but that song, just the way it came out. The title of The Great Yellow Light comes from Van Gogh's letters to his brother, Vincent van Gogh, when he moved to the south of France in 1888. The light there was so strong and so stunning, it really inspired him. And he wrote his brother all the time, Theo, and he referred to it as the Great Yellow Light. And that struck me. So I always remembered that. So some years later, I wrote a song with that title. The song has nothing to do with Van Gogh, but it has to do with awe and wonder. Yeah, that's where it came from, Van Gogh's letters.
And you have always been a great observer of the human condition and kind of the pulse of what's going on in the world around us. I mean, even going back to a song like Hard Times in America, but I think you always try to find a hope in your lyrics. And on this record, songs like Wild Wild World and Trying to Make a Living in the USA, I mean, they're a little tongue in cheek, but the point is there. And then I think you have something like Wake Up America, which is a little more direct. I mean, do you still have that hope and optimism that's kind of followed you throughout your career?
It's pretty challenging these days.
Mhm.
Hey, wait, let me close the window. There's somebody's working outside with a jackhammer. Hang on a minute. Or else it's just a muffler. Um, I still have it. It's pretty challenging these days, but I try to. Life is hard for everybody. People die. People get sick. Terrible things happen, and music can pick us up and lift our spirits. And it lifts mine. And I don't. I make records like it's an upbeat record. This one,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and my shows are feel good shows. It's just a feel good record. This album, and So I still try, I will always try to, accentuate the positive and try to find those places where people can agree on things and get along and neighbors can be neighbors. I still try to, I still believe in that and you know, fight for that, hope for that. I mean, you could
It-
sing a song. I could do a song like Holy War or Cell Phones Ringing in the Pockets of the Dead, two older songs. So I'll write about all kinds of things, the good, the bad, the ugly. But at the end of the day, I want the music to pick people up. So I make sure that that happens as it does on this album. It's a feel good record. And there's strains of, undercurrents of what's going on in the world today. But I don't stand on a soapbox and, you know, bang my head against the wall about it. So I'm still a little optimistic, although it's getting harder and harder.
we mentioned Wake Up America, and you put that song out as a single a little while back. It features the great Steve Earle with you
Yeah.
on it. How did you and Steve come together? Because I think it's a great pairing. Just your voices, if nothing else, blend perfectly together.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, Steve's great. I mean, I love him and I respect him so much. He lived around the corner from me for 15 years, literally two or three buildings away. 15 years, so we became friends. So we'd see each other in the grocery store, on the street. He'd be coming from a Yankee game, whatever, with his son. We became friends, and when I wrote that and was recording it, I it's the second time he's done a duet with me.
Mhm.
Blood on Your
Yeah.
Hands on the last album, the previous album, The Day the Earth Stood Still. He did a duet, and I wrote him. I sent him a copy of Wake Up America. See if he wanted to sing on it. And 5 minutes, I'm in.
Mhm.
And his voice, the street, the grit, the street rawness that
Mhm.
he brings to it really, for me, helps bring it to life. I mean, it's the grit in his voice. That uh, yeah, I love Steve. He's a really good guy, and it's an honor to have him sing on it for sure. Yeah.
And we talk about music lifting people up, and your songs have always done that. And you have a few songs in your canon that hold a special place in my life. I think Love is a Train and Shoulders, chief among
Mhm.
them. When it comes to this record, we lost a friend suddenly a few months ago. And there's
Well,
a track on your record that you've been playing live for a while now called An Irish Goodbye. And that song just really hit home and brings back those memories in a way that only music can. And you've talked about that song on stage before, but tell the story of how that song came to be.
well, for those who don't know, an Irish goodbye is when if you're at an event, you leave without saying goodbye, kind of slip out the
Mhm.
door. You just don't go through the formality of saying goodbye, and it's not meant to be offensive in any way. When an Irish goodbye, some people just make a quick exit. But I was writing about the big Irish goodbye, mortality. My daughter. I've got four kids. My daughter Mary went to Ireland with her two kids and her husband, and she's all things Irish. She plays Gaelic football. And when she came back, we had she gave me a shout. We were talking about it, and later that evening, the phrase "an Irish goodbye" just came into my head, and I thought right away, wait, stop in my tracks, because I thought that's a song. And I thought about it for a bit and sat down, and it came bursting out. And I was writing about the big Irish goodbye, but it's a celebration.
Yeah.
It's a Paul Brady, the great Irish.
Mhm.
He's a icon in Ireland. He sings on it with me as a duet with me. Paul's a great singer, great musician, and it's an honor to have him on it for sure. And that song came out like when I play it, people sing along. I love singing it, I love playing it. My most of my ancestors come from Ireland, and yeah, that song just came out like that, inspired by my daughter's trip. At least the thought came to mind, and yeah, it's a celebration of life.
Yeah, it's definitely a song that's going to mean a lot to a lot of us as you go through life and deal with loss and things like that. Now, on this record, is with so many throughout your career, you have a bunch of songs that you've done with your writing partner, Frankie Lee. Now, you're such a prolific writer. You've both on your own and, with Frankie and others. Do you have a preference as to whether you want to create something alone or whether a certain song needs somebody like Frankie to come in and kind of finish it off? How does that work for you?
Well, over the years, when I first started writing, I was just always writing by myself. 95% of the time, I just write my own songs. And I met Frankie like in '92, and he's a dear friend and a great songwriter. And we've written a lot of songs over the years. So I just write on my own. Occasion, on occasion, Frankie will, give me a shout and he has an idea. You
Mm,
know, he'll bring ideas to me. You know, if I have an idea, I'll usually just finish it.
yeah,
Frankie will bring a number of ideas, and I'll say, let's work on that one. And it's really a pleasure and a joy to work with Frankie. He's one of the masters. Do I have a preference? I think my main thing is I just write by myself.
mhm,
That's my and on the occasion when I write with Frank, it's always a pleasure and always fun. We Are, the song on this record, which we made a video of. Frankie brought that over one day, and this is have an idea, and I started playing it, and I started laughing. I said, oh, this is going to be fun, to play live, which it is. And we finished it together, and it's a thunderous, we are, and also What Color Is Love.
mhm,
It, Frankie brought that to me, saying, and I loved it right away, and we each have our strengths. Frank's a great melody guy, and yeah, I love writing with him. It's always fun. He's a sweet man and a great songwriter.
And the last track on the record, Washington Day,
Oh, I
sees you.
forgot. There's one more. Fall
Yeah.
on Me.
Yes,
Forgot about
Fall, that honestly, I think that's definitely one of my favorite songs on the record. I love Fall on Me.
the band too.
Yeah.
Johnny and John. That's their favorite. And
Mm,
Frankie and I got together. We spent a few weeks, a couple of years ago,
mm,
trying just for fun, trying to write songs for Mick and Keith of the Stones. Let's write a song for the Stones, and we wrote about half a dozen
mm,
just for fun, and that was one of them. And I thought that song would fit perfectly on this record,
mm.
and that was just us having a good time. So if you hear "Fall on Me," you think of the Stones because that's the inspiration for it. Yeah.
Well, it was funny. The last time I saw you in North Haven, Connecticut, I think back in June, you played that song and the band killed on it. That was definitely one of the highlights of the show.
Thank you. Yeah, we always do it. It's fun. It's a great fun live song.
Mm,
Stone stuff is always fun.
yeah,
It's always feel good. It's always sexy, whatever.
mm,
And that one, it's a ball to play.
mm.
Yeah, it's easy. Mhm.
Yeah, as I was mentioning on the last track on the record, Washington Day, another collaboration, but it sees you just with the immensely talented Rob Hyman and Eric Bazalian from the Hooters. Now, how did
Yeah,
that collaboration come about?
I'm making a note. Fall on me. I'm working on set lists for where are we playing? We're doing a gig September 12th out in Amagansett at Stephen Talkhouse, and
Okay.
Johnny can't make it. So luckily Kenny Aronson's available. Kenny Aronson's a legendary bass player.
Yeah, very.
So I got to put a set list together for Kenny, and yeah, fall on me. It's pretty fun. Anyway, uh, so the Hooters, Rob Hyman and Eric Bazillion are dear friends of mine. I met them. We were both on Arista Records back in the early '80s, and we were friends from back then. And they're immensely talented guys. From Philadelphia. And I signed to Columbia Records in 1988, and they were working on a record for Columbia. And the producer produced us both, Rick Chertoff. I called him up. I just signed to Columbia. And I called him up. I wanted to play him a new song I wrote, and he said, "Come by the studio. We're mixing a Hooters song. Nope, just it's me and the engineer. Come by." So I went by the record plant here in New York City, and I sat in the back while they were working on the mix. And he said the song's called Washington Day, but we have no lyrics for it. they were in a rush to finish the record. They had a whole tour. And like when I go in to make a record, I don't go in until it's all songs are written. I don't have the luxury of going in and, you know, putting songs together. They're written. When I go in, they're done. I'll rehearse with the guys a couple of days beforehand and then we go. So in this case, I'm sitting in the back of the room while they're mixing Washington's Day. And it blew me away. It was like hearing Let It Be. And I went, this is a stunning piece of music. And words started coming. And I took my pen and notebook out and writing down. And after a bit, I told him, I think I got some, so I wrote the lyric for the song back then in 88 or 87, it might even have been, I forget. And they recorded it on an album way back then. And it's a great song. And I've always wanted to record it over the years, but just never got around to it. And it fit on this record.
Yeah.
So I tend to follow my instincts as much and as best I can. And in this case, it just came to me that this is a perfect song to put on this record, and I thought it'd be a great closing song. The chorus is, it's an open-armed. It's like Romeo and Juliet in Arlington National Cemetery, and Washington's Day is like July 4th, Independence Day, and all the ramifications that implies. And you know, the second that's the first verse. Second verse it gets deeper. Now in this world, the first verse is, did you think I could ever forget? And this song ends the album after you've gone through this journey of different songs, different feelings, rockers, ballads, and Wake Up America, especially, and in the depth of that. And then it finishes with this open-armed embrace of like, hey, did you think I could ever forget the night by the Arlington flame? In the silence, I heard it through streets so deserted. You whispered and called me by name. Did you think I could ever forget that rocket's red glare in your eye? Where Lincoln stood strong there, you held me so long there that night on the 4th of July. The chorus, I hope and I pray that you'll be here with me when the mountains that rise tumble into the sea, when the kingdoms that come set us free on our way. Hope you'll be here with me home on Washington's Day. It's just this embrace. And I knew that would be a great way to finish this album. I'm really thrilled with how this album came out. I'm thrilled with the songs on it, the production, the playing, the great musicians on it. And so Washington's Day came from that. I wrote the lyrics for a Hooters song that they had with no lyrics for. And I found the perfect place to put it on one album. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does fit. And you talk about just the total package of this record. And one thing that I think we need to talk about as well, it kind of fits in along with your other records too, is the amazing artwork that you see over my shoulder on it from just the insanely talented Christina Aragoni. Talk a little bit about that cover art and when you saw it, how it fit with your image of the title and the record.
I've got the right here. Hang on a minute. I've got a vinyl here
Mm.
close up. So this image,
Yeah.
it's uh, a small circus in the Italian Alps, in a one-tent circus. There's a bit of a glare on it, but um, anyway, for me, there's a little boy peeking through underneath this
Mm.
clown's arm. Very Charlie Chaplin for me. It's like there's this fire eater, the Great Yellow Light, and there's a couple clowns and
Mm.
a security guy and a mother and a child. And it just really for me captured. So she took this photograph in 2013. She took her son to the circus and took a bunch of pictures,
Mm.
and the back cover, it's incredible.
Yeah.
There's the fire
Mm.
with a flame about to explode out of his mouth. And in one of his hands, he's got in his palm, he's got a flame. I mean, Christina's an incredible photographer, and when I saw that picture back in 2013, immediately, like instantaneously, I said, that's a record. That's an album cover. She didn't think so. I go, oh no, that's an album
Mm.
cover. And so I've always had it in mind. And so when I wrote The Great Yellow Light and I was putting this album together, I knew right away what the cover would be.
Mm.
She had her doubts about it, but it's stunning. Oh, that reminds me, I want to the Grammys are coming up. I want to apply for the award for artwork because her photographs are amazing and the artwork on this is really stunning.
It,
She's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, without a doubt. And on stage and in your social media, you talk a lot about your dad, still going strong at 107 years old, I believe it is.
Yeah.
So there's obviously some strong genes there. I mean, do you see yourself continuing to write and record and perform at the pace you're doing now?
Yeah, so, yeah, I sure do. I mean, I haven't stopped, and Dad's amazing. I mean, he's 107, and I think 270 some days.
Mm.
I mean, meaning plus,
Yeah, yeah,
he'll be 108 in November, and the thing is, there's 107 and there's 107. You know,
mm,
you could be an absolute mess, but he still lives at home. One of my brothers lives with him, and he gets around with a walker, and he does crossword puzzles, takes no medication,
mm,
takes no naps.
mm.
And he's funny and he's with it. And I mean, it's not easy being 107, but
Yeah,
he never complains, and he's doing great. I mean,
mm.
and he's the 36th oldest man in the U.S. There's a site you can go to, and he was 44th a month and a half ago, and now
Yeah.
he's 36. And I'm flying there next Friday, and I can't wait to get there. And really, every day is a miracle because I mean, I hope he's there when I get back. I
Yeah.
mean, he's fine, but I mean, you never know. So, do I expect to continue? Yeah, I do.
Mm.
I'm still writing. I love playing shows. I love making records. Songs are still coming to me, and I don't make records just to make them. I don't make records. Oh, I need to put a record out.
Yeah.
I only do it when I feel I have a collection that is 100% that I believe in every single song. I don't put filler on the record. I put songs that I don't believe in, and I think that's why the fans are so devoted, and supporting my work. I don't put out junk,
Yep.
and so yeah. I mean, I'll knock on wood. I'll go as long as I can,
Mm.
and until I drop, probably.
And we will be there for it. And you've been talking a while now about a documentary that was being done on you. Are there any updates on the documentary?
Yeah, we've been working off and on. COVID really put a
Yeah.
knock on it, but it's over 6 years we've been working on it, on and off.
Mm.
Directors, Austria, and we've done a lot. And they're going to start at October, November, start editing it and doing uh, a rough cut.
Mm.
So it's finally. There's only two or three things we need to shoot, and so it's coming after all these years. It's about to be edited. So I'm optimistic and hopeful that it's any good. Hopefully it's not a piece of junk. We put a lot of work into it. There's a lot of interesting characters to say the least in it, and
Mm.
my dad's in it a bunch. He's the
Yeah.
star of it. Yeah, yeah. So
Well, we've been spending some time here with Willie Nile. The record is called The Great Yellow Light. It's just a phenomenal piece of work, Willie. Listen to it constantly. If you ever get the chance to see Willie play live, take it. He has one of the best live bands just on the road today. I can't even count how many of your shows I've seen at this point now. So, but the
well,
record is out everywhere now. You can order it, you could stream it. Just make sure you listen to it. And Willie, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
thank you for the kind words, Jeff. Much appreciated. Thanks for taking the time, and thanks for all your support for these years. Bless your heart, my friend. It's been a
You
pleasure.
bet.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.